Hello everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Jokes. I hope you're all doing well. Father Bob just heading off to get set up for unloading the harvester. Now you're probably thinking, didn't we have all the crops harvested? And you'd be right, up until the last episode we did. However, we weren't too happy with the corn yields, so we paid a visit to the local auctioneer, hoping there might be some land available with their ready to harvest corn crop. Luckily for us, there was. Field 102, 3.4 hectares of corn was up for grabs and just shy of £238,000. After a quick chat with the bank manager and showing them our monthly income of at least £20,000 from the dairy operations, plus future earnings from selling the heifers and pigs, we secured a £240,000 loan. Our repayments are £4,454 per month over 5 years, which is about 22% of the income from our milk. That still leaves us with plenty of room for future expansion. Now as we get the harvester started up and we head down to the field, let's talk about plans for the day. Once we finish harvesting the corn, we'll open up the silage pit. It's fully fermented and ready to be used for TMR. We'll mix it up with some hay and a bit of straw. Feeding the cows TMR instead of just hay will boost our milk production by 20%, which means an extra £4,000 in revenue. That increase alone will nearly cover the cost of our loan repayments, so a win-win all around. Just as we're passing by our calves, you can see they're still out grazing in their pasture. But come December, we'll be bringing them into the shed since the grass will stop growing. They've gone through most of the grass at this stage, but they've still got enough to last until then. Once they move indoors, they'll stay there until spring when the grass starts to regrow. This will also give a nice boost to our slurry and manure supplies. We'll also aim to spread the cow slurry that's also in storage before the slurry ban kicks in at the end of the month. Here we are, arriving at field 102, with a nice big crop of corn ready for harvest. Time to unfold the harvester and get straight to work. Father Bob is probably down at the other end of the field, ready to help unload as we go. This corn will be a great addition to our pig feed mix, alongside the wheat and soybeans we've been stockpiling. Now, while the yield from this field isn't going to be ideal, the previous owner clearly wasn't able to manage it properly, which likely explains why it was up for sale and still unharvested. Looking at the yield map confirms what we suspected, it's hovering around the 50% mark. Not great, but since this harvest wasn't part of our original plan for the year, even with the lower yield, it would still have a huge impact on the capacity and success of our breeding operation. Now I'll get this field harvested with some help of Father Bob, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Welcome back, folks. For the second and final time, we've completed a successful corn harvest without any major breakdowns or issues to talk about, yielding just shy of 50,000 litres of corn. That leaves us with a surplus of around 25,000 litres, which we can store away for next year's pig feed mix. In total, we have about 130,000 litres of pig feed for the year, mixing at 95% of their requirement using the wheat and soybeans we've already harvested and stored away. This leaves us with 15,000 litres of wheat to keep our small chicken operation running smoothly in the background. This gives us the added benefit of generating extra income from the eggs, which we can sell at a higher price compared to just selling the wheat itself. Now that all the harvesting is finished for the year, it's time to park up the harvester for a good wash and a much needed service, before putting it away into storage ready for next season's harvest. Next up, we'll turn our attention to the silage pit, opening it up and getting some TMR mix for the cows. That's that opened up now. We've bought ourselves a new silage fork for the load all, costing approximately 3,500. This mod is by Fast Farming, comes with capacities ranging from 4,500 up to 7,500 litres of silage. We went with the 5,500 litre option because one load of silage gives us the perfect TMR ratio, with one bale of hay and one bale of straw, filling the mixer wagon just right. Move in closer, start unloading quicker. That's enough of silage for the mix. Now I'll detach the silage fork and leave it here, as we need to head down to the bale shed and pick up the hay and straw for the mix. Another shout out to RXE Gaming for the Anywhere storage mod we've been using to store all our bales. As I've mentioned before, I love how there are no collisions, so we can still use our shed to store the equipment. We'll hook up the bale grab and move out of the way so we can still access the bales. We need one of each for now, though I might move a few more to the top shed for quicker access, especially since we'll be mixing a lot of TMR over the winter to keep all our stock fed. You might notice I've painted the ground darker colour to mark the access points for getting the bales. A handy little tip: I'll just stack the straw bale on top of the hay bale, probably the quickest way to load up the mixer wagon. Oh, of course it wouldn't be straightforward, but at least the straw bale didn't fall off. Sure, we'll manage. Right, let's get back up to the mixer wagon and get these loaded. Right, here we are. It would have been much easier to grab the hay bale in the bottom, as we could have caught the bottom of the bale and the top of the mixer and just backed away, but I still think we'll manage. Let's just hope the straw bale doesn't fall off the other side, and if it does, we'll go without. That was a close one, could have went either way. I'll park this up and hop in the 8210 to get the cows fed. Right, just power up the mixer wagon to give it a good mix as we head down to the cow shed. Since we'll be running a few mixes each day once the calves move in from the grass paddock, I'll probably set up an Autodrive course for Father Bob to unload the mixer after I load it all up with the load all. It'll definitely help speed things up as we move through the winter months, when the main task will be keeping all the animals fed. Here we are. Now I just need to remember which button to press to unload the mixer wagon on the correct side. There we go. Our little mixer with its small capacity won't take long to unload. I'll probably get in another mix tonight to keep them all topped up, but first we have to get on to spreading some cow slurry on the main grass field while there's still some daylight. We've got about 30,000 litres in storage, so it'll be tight to cover the whole field, but we'll give it another coat of manure next spring to ensure it gets plenty of nitrogen for the best yields possible, especially with how important it is for our feed production. Right, that's our tanker filled up with just over 9,000 litres of cow slurry. Our courses are set up for spreading the slurry. I'm sure the neighbours will be thrilled with the lovely fresh smell in the country air tonight. It shouldn't take us long. The longest part will be coming back and forth to refill the tanker. 3 or 4 loads should get the job done, just in time before we have to start milking the cows this evening. Right, let's get into it, and I'll catch up with you again soon. That's the slurry all spread covering the entire field. This will give a nice boost to the soil nutrients, setting us up for strong growth come next season. Plan is to give it another coat of solid manure in the early spring before we take our first cut in April. I was planning to wrap it up here for the episode, but with the huge excitement over our much anticipated piglets arriving next month, I've decided to sleep through the night and catch up with you all in the morning to see how many piglets our sows deliver. Now when it comes to the piglets, the larger the litter, the better it is for our farm's growth. The more piglets we have, the quicker we can expand our breeding operation, and that means faster return on investment. Piglets will eventually grow into fully productive pigs, providing us with meat and further breeding opportunities. I'll see you all bright and early with the news. It's December 1. The cold has really set in, but we got ourselves some great news to warm us up. Let's take a look at the animal tab to see how many piglets were delivered from just our 5 sows. 47 in total, which is just incredible. That's about 10 more than the average litter size expected from 5 sows, though it's not uncommon for a sow to have 12 to 14 piglets per litter. The yearly food consumption has now jumped up to 65,000 litres, but when the next litter arrives in about 4 months, the males should be nicely fattened up and ready to sell for some tasty hog roast. I've calculated the 74,000 litres of harvested crops we've added to the pen for feed is valued at 90 grand if sold at peak prices. It'll be interesting to see the return on investment, though we won't see any significant profit for about 14 months. Then I guess we could probably earn about 70 grand every 4 months from fattening and selling just the males. But at a point, the increase in feed requirements will make it less sustainable to keep increasing the herd size. Still, it definitely seems like a profitable industry, with plenty money to be made from investing our crops into pigs. Now that we've wrapped up all the news of the piglets, we'll make our way over to the cow barn, where we've just finished bringing in all the calves from the grass paddock into the shed for winter. Taking a quick look at the animal tab, we can see the food requirements have now jumped up to almost 25,000 litres per day. As we're on 2-day months, they'll go through around 150,000 litres of TMR until they return to their pasture next spring. Looks like we'll be pretty busy with the mixer wagon until then. Lastly, let's take a look at the chickens that have been tipping away in the background. While they're not producing a significant amount of eggs yet, their numbers are growing steadily as we focused on expanding our dairy and pig operations. We currently have 25 chickens laying eggs and about 36 female chicks. Over the next few months, they'll continue to expand and we'll likely be able to sustain feeding up to 200 chickens. We'll see how much revenue they can produce when they get to that number. I likely skip through the winter months while I focus on just feeding and taking care of the animals. The next time I see you, we'll have progressed into March and be gearing up for the planting season. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up as it really helps the channel grow. If you're new here or haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you don't miss any future episodes. We got plenty more exciting content coming up as we push through the winter months and prepare for next season's planting, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, take care and see you soon.